I was very, very bad at the beginning. Very, very bad. In having the right confidence of articulating the vision. I was very shy about the mission. I thought to myself that having this purpose was a bit too ambitious or too, like, in French, say, prétentieux. And so it took me quite a while to understand that I had to speak out very, very loud to everybody about the mission on social networks outside of the company, inside the company, and that the more I did it, the more people were committed and happy to work with me. So to work together as well, obviously. So that's quite something, and it took me honestly, it took me like several years to understand that part very well.
The function of leadership is to create more leaders, not more followers. Welcome to the Paid Forward Society, the podcast where we explore the many facets of leadership as we talk to inspiring managers, entrepreneurs, coaches, veterans, and athletes who empower their teams and deliver results. Together, we discover the keys to success through empathy, purpose, and care. I'm your host, Romain Jourdan. I have been leading distributed team for almost 10 years, and I continue to practice and learn how to become better at it. Today, I have the privilege of introducing Vincent Moindrot. Vincent, welcome to the Paid Forward Society.
Hello, Romain. Thank you very much for welcoming in your podcast.
Sure, my pleasure. So, Vincent, you are the CEO of a tech company called Carlyle. So we'll discuss about that. Actually, we don't know each other. I stumbled across one of your LinkedIn posts this summer, and I thought that we should talk because this was unusual for a CEO to share their own journey through layoffs. And I found that it was very interesting and also a moment where I think you embody the vulnerability that we talk about more and more for leaders, how to become more vulnerable, how to share their mistakes and take ownership of the mistakes. So I found that super interesting. And that's why I reached out to you and say, hey, we should talk. And so here we are.
Yes, super happy again to share that. And as you said, it was a special, very special moment in Carlyle's life to experience this layoff. Very, very tough, obviously. And also it was very spontaneous from me to share that on LinkedIn, in a LinkedIn post. But I understood through the many comments that it was quite unique. Yeah. And happy to talk about that.
Perfect. All right. So thank you for being on the show. Thank you for joining me and sharing your experience with the audience. So let's start with an intro. I mean, Vincent, who are you?
So I'm this 40 years old guy, ex engineer. I was graduated many times ago. And I decided in my 20s already that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I co-founded first company when I just went out of school, out of university. We say school in French, but university. So it was 15 years ago. And it was a great experience, although it was a hard one as well, because we created this company and let it grow until we sold it 7 years after. But we, as we said, we bootstrapped it, so we never raised fund for this first company. It was quite an experience. I loved it. I love entrepreneurship. But I lacked being a CEO because I was a partner and a co-founder of this company, but I was not the CEO. Okay. And it was one of the reasons why after the exit period, I decided to come back to France because the company that acquired us was based in Lausanne near Geneva in Switzerland. Mm-hmm. And I went back to Paris to create Carlyle.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you're French, right?
Yes.
And you worked a bit in
Nobody's
Switzerland.
perfect.
Yeah, no, I share the same pain. No worries about that. Okay, cool. So thank you. So you are an entrepreneur. Um, can, what have you learned from your first experience as a leader, not as an entrepreneur, but as a leader? How big was your first company?
It was not that big company. When we sold it, we were 30%. But I think I experienced, well, first being a co-founder and not the real leader, I would say. Let me understand what it is to be a co-founder, and one needs to be a great leader. So I would say that was great experience to be on the other side of the mirror. And after the acquisition, I joined a much bigger company. I was I thought I remember at that time that I thought I was young to join a committee of directors, and I learned a lot of what's the right attitude to make people work with you, and so I finally became a leader, I think, at this stage.
Okay.
And then the whole journey of Carlyle is all about leadership, obviously.
Nice. So before we jump into that, what have you learned from being in a? So when you say committee of directors, is that the board? Is that
Yes,
the board
yes,
of the company?
yes.
And you said something interesting. How do you get people to recognize you as a director? Specifically when you are young, what were some of the discoveries?
I think, and obviously this is a key of leadership, it's all about communication. So the way about how you communicate about your own story, because I was this French guy joining a Swiss team, how you communicate about your mission for the company and what you're going to achieve. We were in the middle of merging with another competitor in a company from Australia. And it was quite a ride, and I had this huge. The objectives were quite hard to achieve, I would say. Selling objective. My first mission was to sell the product. So it was all about communicating who I was, what I was going to achieve, and regularly speaking about where I was on the roadmap to obtain the objectives. So communication, this is what I learned the most at this point. Because in the first company, we were not that many persons and all was very easy. And I had this special status where you're co-founder, so everybody listened to you. But when you arrive in a larger team, you have they don't wait for you. And that was quite new for me.
Yeah. So how big was the new company? I mean, after the acquisition, the one that you joined?
Well, we were part of a company of several hundred people. I can't remember exactly, maybe 400. We joined both companies, and the Australian company was maybe 10%, was not that big. Okay. But it's never easy, whatever the size of the team, to match two cultures. So yeah. I learned also a lot at this moment.
And Australia is very far away from
Switzerland. Exactly. People need to understand that it's okay for us to work after 5 p.m. for OCs, it's not necessarily the case. So it's a very different way of working, but I loved working with them. They're amazing people.
Oh, even in Switzerland, I mean, it's not common to work after 5 p.m.
No, you're right. I'm the French guy in the room. You're right.
Yeah. It's the 8 to 5 in Switzerland, in Zurich, specifically on the eastern part of Switzerland. It's even more than the western part, from what I recollect. Okay, absolutely. Cool. Thank you. So then you worked for that company for a while and came back to Paris, and you had the plan to found Carlyle. So tell us more about Carlyle. What is it? What do you do?
So I like when I pitch the company, I like to speak about the why first. And the best way to describe it is telling my story. So as I said, I went back to Paris because first and foremost, I wanted to launch another venture. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not super happy when I'm not funding or co-funding a company. Secondly, for very personal reasons, my wife was working here, and it was not necessarily sustainable for us to be thrown into the different countries. So I went back for that very logical reasons, but also I said, okay, I want to create a company. I had many ideas for a while, but one specific topic was very interesting to me. It was to fight climate change in some way or another. I thought this was going to inspire me every day. And obviously, if if you start a venture like that, you know how hard it's going to be, and you need to be super committed. So for me, it was all about the purpose, and so I jumped into this transportation and mobility industry, and specifically in the car industry, where my observation, my analysis, well, like many others, obviously, was that there are too many cars on the road that are unused. Like in France, for example, 40 million cars used 5% of the time. So I thought that we could do something better here, produce less cars, have less impact on the planet by producing less cars, and obviously trying to help switch ICE, so thermic engines, to electrical vehicles. So that was my first, I wanted to do that, but I didn't know exactly how to do it. And so I had a look on different players on the market, found this French company, very interesting, called Drivey, which doesn't exist anymore because it's been acquired by the US company Getaround.
Okay.
Which is, as you probably know, a peer-to-peer marketplace for car rental, car sharing, let's say. And I observed them, and I thought, okay, I want to work with them. I had this idea or this understanding of their situation is that they were lacking of cars. People were not incentivized enough on the platform to bring their cars, which means they didn't have enough supply. And so I thought of this idea of having people on the ground in charge of taking care of the vehicles for the landlords, for the owners of the car. And therefore, people would think that it's a convenient way to rent the cars out on these platforms and make money. So that was my original idea. And instead of trying to start it all by myself with all the value chain, I went directly to the founder of this company, Drivey, and said, okay, hey, I want to start this, and I think we could do it together. What do you think? And the guy was super open. We had the lunch, and at the end of the lunch, we said, okay, let's do something together. So that was the very beginning of the company. I had nothing at all, like nothing, but I had this deal.
Okay.
And so
Nice.
This is how we started. And then at some point, we understood that the best model is what we do today, which is a pure online play. Well, we're a pure digital player. There's no physical point like an agency or sales place. You just and it's full digital to book the car, and then we deliver the vehicle to the place selected by the customer, the user. So it's it's an on-demand model where you get your car delivered home or anywhere, and when you don't need it, someone will pick it up for you. So we think this way we make car rental so easy, so smooth, that people would consider that they don't need to own a car anymore. And this is how we achieve the mission.
Okay, nice. And so, do you own a fleet of vehicles, or is that the same model than Getaround, where you have your own model?
we do both models. Okay. So we operate cars from other players, and we also have our own fleet. Our own fleet is purely electrical. Well, as we speak, only Teslas, and on the rest we just give a vision of the inventory of all our partners to our users, and they can select the vehicles, and then we come and pick it up the place where it's parked from our partners, and then bring it to the user.
Okay. And where do you operate? In France
We
only?
operate in France, yes. Only in France at the moment, yes.
Okay. So when do you come to the US?
Oh, very soon, hopefully.
Nice. Okay. Good. And what's the SLA? I mean, if I want a car,
2 hours. 2 hours.
hours.
So you order it like at 10 a.m. and at 12 a.m. The car will be at the front of your doorstep.
Okay. 24/7?
Not 24/7. It's 7 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Thank you. It's unusual for me to go that deep into the business, but I wanted to know. And so let's move back to leadership now. So when did you create this company?
It was in 2016. So
2016.
Yeah.
Okay. So you create this company together with the founder of Drivey.
No. Founder of Drivey was we were partners.
Partners. Okay.
But we had a partnership, a deal with them.
Okay.
I created this company with my co-founder, Arnaud.
Okay.
So we are two co-founders.
Nice. Okay. So tell me about the journey of how the company grew and how you started to take more leadership role.
Yeah, it's quite that. I think there's a big difference between the early days where, as a leader, you're operating a lot and you want to create the experience, find your first customers. While the first year was all about finding an insurance, for example, because non-insurance were interested in insuring this new service, because they said, okay, it's fine when the final user has the car. I know this product, but when the car sitters, the jockeys in charge of dealing with the vehicles drive them, we don't know their finances, so we have no information on them. It's a risk we can assume, and so it was very hard actually to say. So just to say that at the beginning, your leadership is about how fast you operate, how great you operate, and how committed to the success of your business you are, I would say. Okay. And then at some point, my mission was to raise funds. So I did that. We raised funds. We had the first one with angels, and then second one with VCs. So it's obviously, bringing cash in a startup is also brings some leadership, just because it's the oxygen of the company. So you need that. Mm-hmm. And after that, I would say things begin to change a lot, because at this point, it's more about making people work together, being super efficient, committed to the mission, understanding the vision and the objectives, and that's I think this is true leadership, because this is where the hard part comes about being a leader. You can be. I was very, very bad at the beginning, very, very bad. Having the right confidence of articulating the vision. I was very shy about the mission. I thought to myself that having this purpose was a bit too ambitious, or too, like, in French, c'est prétentieux. So it's like
pretentious.
Yes. And so it took me quite a while to understand that I had to speak out very, very loud to everybody about the mission, on social networks, outside of the company, inside the company, and that the more I did it, the more people were committed and happy to work with me. So to work together as well, obviously. So that's quite something, and it took me honestly, it took me like several years to understand that part very well.
Did you have any lightning moment, aha moment, where you say, "Oh, this is really what is needed, or was it a bit more, on the long run, you realize that you had to tell more that story. You had to repeat to get. I mean, I think that's the common theme when you are a leader is to repeat. So, but
Yeah,
what was that journey? I think we wanted to talk about culture and storytelling. So I'd like
yeah.
to understand how you realized that you needed this and how you implemented it.
No, I think there was no haha moment. It was more about iterating on how you become a better leader. And for example, when you want to recruit people, you have many ways to recruit people. And I was not that good at the beginning, and I realized telling my story, articulating very clearly why I was so committed to the mission, why it was so important for me, what is the vision I want to achieve, changed dramatically, like how people wanted to work with in this company or not. It's so dramatic, the difference. Like anyone, when you tell the right story and you're very clear and you're just authentic, true to yourself, makes people want to join the company and work with you. Just because we are human at the end. I mean, we all like that.
Yeah.
So just the time of the day will work. So it's so important in our lives that we want to be sure who we work with and what we work for. So that's an example of something I learned on the way, because I changed my presentation, my story, and adapted it. And at some point, boom, it was so powerful to hire people.
Okay. So, and I think you said that earlier, but when you created a company, you had that purpose in mind. You wanted to fight climate change.
Yes.
So the purpose was clear from the get-go.
Yeah.
But this is the way you articulated that to others, and specifically your employees,
Yes.
and potentially new hires that was. I mean, you were not comfortable with it.
Yes. You know why? Because I think I was shy, and also many times I heard this like argument to say people, yeah, but I mean, basically you're just renting cars. I mean, come on, like, you're not changing the world. and I was like, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, right. I was quite abandoning my own spirit and my own belief in the mission of the company, which is obviously very wrong. But you need to do the mistake to understand how wrong it is, and I did it. So yeah, I was at some point I said, no, I should hide it. I should just talk about the product and the objectives and the very like rational, down to earth matters, which is wrong. And It's not me, by the way. I think I'm very convincing when I talk about the mission, because I'm very committed to that. Like, this is very important for me.
You're passionate. Yeah. Can tell. Okay. Nice. So, what did you do to? I mean, you told us that it took you some time to come to that realization. So, when that happened, you had already employees. I mean, the company was already operating. So, how big was it, and how did you onboard or re-onboarded your existing employees in that mission?
I think the people, so the employees, the people that were working at this point in the company, they were feeling it. It was just not very clearly articulated, but they were feeling it, and they were like Arnaud, my co-founder, for example. I remember that when we discussed together about the project, and he joined us at the very beginning. I talked more about the fact that I had a first experience in entrepreneurship, that I was great at business, or so I tried to sell myself, and it worked. But it was because at the end of the day, we're so committed together to the mission. I think it was maybe some like hidden or small words that let him understood that I was more than this speech. So I would say the first team was already pretty committed. But then we did this work first to express our values, so to really define our culture. We did a seminary. We went, so I gathered the team. We went outside of the town for a few days, and it was a specific purpose of this session.
So you did an offsite to discuss the value of the company and the mission.
Quite early. That was
quite early.
2 years after launch. Yeah.
Okay.
And I really recommend that, because this is where I mean the sooner, the earlier, the best. You really should do that very, very early in the journey, because then you take every decision based on that, like strategic decisions, recruitment, anything is based on that. So, and that was when we first defined the mission and the values, and from there we used it to recruit people.
So how did you define the values? I mean, the mission, you had it already. That's it was fighting climate change and empowering people to be mobile without having a car. But how do you define the values? Because I had an interesting debate with one of my former guests. Maybe you know him, Nicolas Cazeneuve. He's
yes,
person, yeah. So he's a good friend of mine, and the thing is that you want real values, and in many companies or startups, when you hear is basic stuff. Yeah, we want to be nice people. We want to be, but those are not true values. They are just, I would say, normal things they would expect from anybody to operate. We want to be professional. Yeah, of course. Yeah. We're operating in a professional environment. So what did you expect? So I'm interested in learning from you. How do you define those values?
Well, we had this specific work session where everybody in the team had a few papers and wrote their own values. And so we specifically define what's a value, and it's very important to define a value and not differentiate a value from a need, because most people, they will say this is what I need, but it's very, very different. So we try to explain what's a value. Then we had this session, and then we put everything together on the wall.
So what's a value? How do you define a value?
Well, a value is what's make you committed. Like it's something that when you talk to another person, you either feel very good, not knowing exactly why. It's just you feel good because you share the value, and when you communicate with the person, the value is here, or it's not here, and it's I would say so the value is not specifically incarnated, and you feel bad. So this is, for me, the best way to describe it is what you feel in your stomach.
Okay.
So, for example, if honesty is a value of yours, and someone is dishonest to you, you're gonna feel it in your stomach, like emotionally. I don't like what's going on. I don't like what this person is sharing, or even I don't like the person, and I couldn't explain why. So this is value. It's all about the value.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that this gut feeling that you describe is a framework to enable trust or create that trust within teams?
Yes, exactly. That's very true. Yeah. Trust, exactly. Trust, and sometimes we use so much energy to make organization where people can work together because they have specific titles, specific functions, specific tools. And at the end of the day, if you share common values, you really don't care about titles, organization, like tools, anything. You just want to work together because you trust yourselves. So yeah, exactly.
So how do you hold people accountable whenever they don't represent those values, or they are operating outside of those values?
Well, usually I go for a walk. Like this is a moment where you just need to talk to the person, and you can go, like, I do that. Like, we go outside, we go for a walk together, and I share my concern. We talk. I hear a lot. And this, most of the time, you just trying to hear people, letting them express what's happening, you realize when it's about values, you realize that it's a value against another value.
Okay.
So, for example, I don't know, like respect against being fast. Like
Okay. Yeah.
It's not one of our values, but let's say one of our values would be like fast shipping, and someone is not fast shipper enough for some reasons, and someone is disrespectful to this person. Would say, go for a ride and say, yeah, but it was like not operating well, and we have so much delay on this project, and so that's the reason why it was disrespectful. And if you make the people just express that, exactly that, I think you have nothing else to say, because this person will know that it's not really okay to be disrespectful, if respect is one of the values of the company, which I hope it is. No, but you know what I mean. Is that you're saying how I operate by listening to people and telling the truth. This is one of our values, by the way, right? We say parole libre in French, which means free speech, is you can say whatever you want.
Okay.
Whatever you want.
In a respectful manner.
And we have a value of respect. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think it's healthy when you have some tensions between values. Sometimes we do that. We do have that as well at Amazon. So you need to find, okay, how do we balance everything to make it happen? Okay. So I think you wanted to talk about courage as well. So what does it mean to be courageous when you are a leader? Or why do you think it's important?
I think, when you talk about leadership, is like literally making people believe in you and accepting to follow you wherever you're going. And I think, this is one of my definition of leadership, is about courage, because I think you need to show the way, and even if it's hard, even if there are many risks, personal risks, you just have to go first and show people that you've been brave enough to do it, to do the first step. So for me, it's very important. Courage is very important in leadership. And on the other way, I wouldn't expect to follow someone that lacks of courage. They would say, you go first, and
Okay.
So yeah, for me, it's very important.
Okay. Cool. I had a chat with one of the episode I recorded with a former colleague of mine, Alison. Mm-hmm. We talk about courage as well, and in a slightly different way. So I understand what you say. I mean, being on the forefront as a leader, and trying to be driving things and being a model. But I also like what you said about being courageous on the fact that it's also about learning from your mistakes, and I think we will discuss about that and recognizing them. It's also about being courageous enough to listen and uncover what others have to say, and sometimes it's not easy because you have to move things. You have, as a leader, you have so many things, but you need to take the time and have the courage to stop and really investigate and try to understand what others are trying to tell you. And being mindful about what others says and trying to be curious also about what they say. So I like what when she described that as courage as well, because indeed there is this expectation from leaders to be always on the forefront, always being driving the battles, but I think courage is a bit more than just that.
Absolutely, no, I so much agree. Being vulnerable is very requires a lot of courage, and it's about sharing what's weak, how bad you were, what you can, where you can grow. Obviously, I agree with that.
Yeah, that's going back to your value of authenticity, what you raised earlier for leadership.
Yes.
Okay, so let's move on to the big topic, the elephant in the room. So, so your company grew, and eventually you hit some cash flow issues, I guess.
Yeah.
So
yes, exactly. A few months after we raised our Series A, and the whole financial market was a bit collapsing, and we had a new investors on a table, and for some reasons the guy the board representative changed, the board member changed, a new one arrived. He didn't know the company and realized that the financial situation was not as good as expected. So they kind of panicked, the investors. So this investor especially, and then brought much pressure on my shoulders. And so we explained that moment. It was in July 2022, a year and a few months ago. And so I had to lay off people. I had to make some people leave. Not many, but it was already too much, obviously. And this is a story I shared on LinkedIn a year after, because still a year after, it was still a scarf, I would say, a moment very hard of our story at Carlyle, and for many reasons. And this is I try to say a year after, what have I learned from this to not make it to not renew that. I don't mean by that I will not lay some people off in another chapter of the story, because you never know, unfortunately, what can happen. And this is just unfortunately, this is part of the journey of being an entrepreneur. But hope it will not arrive, obviously.
Yeah, sure. So let's go back to it. So do you have a new board member? The investors, they look at the numbers, and basically they say that you are burning too much cash.
Yes.
And they pressure you to do a round of layoffs. So what are your options as an entrepreneur? I mean, can you push back? Can you have you tried to push back, or what are your options as an entrepreneur?
Yes, I mean, obviously, it's one of my mistakes, is that I should have been less, much more of a leader. I've been too much of a follower on this, because I thought that we needed these investors so much for the future of the company that we had to reconsider our plan and lay people off. And a part of me, I have to say that, a part of me were thinking that as a businessman, and which is very different for me to being a leader, as a businessman, it was the right decision. Like, cut costs and it's going to be better. But today, I think it's not the right way to operate as a leader. Whatever the business, you can have many decisions regarding the business. You have first to feel that this is the right decision emotionally.
Okay.
And I was so there were two different Vincent or two different leaders, two different persons. One was okay with the decision, saying, okay, rationally, it's okay. I have to do that. And I have to do it as fast as possible. And emotionally, I was not okay at all. And the rational part won, I would say. Just because I was referring to other players on the market, to what I read about the economy, and saying, okay, this is not feeling very good. Smells not good. Like not so many rounds will appear in the next month, so it's going to be hard for our sales B. It's the right decision. We have to cut costs. And I still think it was the right decision to cut costs, but I really think that we didn't need to do this big layoff plan. We should have done this much more carefully. Look at any other option that was still possible, and there were many other options. So I was too much listening to the investors and not enough to my guts, I would say.
So what options could you? I mean, did you?
But instead of
table?
the plan was very brutal, because we said, so on a Thursday we decided on a board meeting that it's going to be the plan to announce to 7 people in the team that they're going to leave the company. And I announced it the next Monday morning. And I thought to myself during the weekend that I was doing the right job. Like, just like I was having this image in my brain, which was as a doctor, when there's a tumor, you have to cut it, or when it's something bad, it's really hard. You have to be very courageous and do the thing as fast as possible. And this is your role, and it's hard, but you have to be like that, which is very wrong. A year after, I think it's very wrong. First and foremost, it's not about one day or 1 week, because what we encounter after this announcement was so bad for the company that it's obviously, I mean, rationally, when you talk about the success of your company, take the time to do that very, I mean, humanly, and be smart also about the way you do that, the different options. So I say this discipline is very important, organization, and keep in mind your values and your emotions. So take the time. I should have taken the time to think twice about, is this person someone we can get rid of? Can we find another job for this person in the company? Is it someone I can talk to and just explain the situation? I would say, okay, good news. I wanted maybe to leave, and I could have done that. I really could have done that, and I chose the hard way and the brutal way, which was obviously very wrong.
Okay, so yeah, so the decision was made on Thursday. On Monday, yep, you presented your slide deck, and we will go back to it on the Monday, and then what happened?
Well, I gathered the team in a big meeting room. Everybody was here, and I said, so I presented the results. I'd explained what was wrong, like how far we were from the initial objectives in the eyes of our investors. Even though I have to say that we were growing very fast and we had great numbers, but not as big as they were envisioning for the company. Mm-hmm. And especially we had done too much for many reasons. But anyway, So I explained the situation. I explained that investors are not happy, and anyway, it's not sustainable. So I defended the decision because I thought that just blaming the investors will be very bad as a signal for the team. So I explained why it's the right decision to cut costs, and then I explained that so I explained a whole plan of actions with 12 different actions, and one of the actions were making some people go, and that was so bad. It was so bad just to say, okay, it's one action of the plan that some of you will leave, because obviously it was the only topic to discuss this day. If I had to really do this meeting, which again I think it's not the right way to operate a layoff, but if I had to do this meeting, obviously I should have discussed just about that, just to say, okay, that's all about this decision, which is to make people go. Some people go, some people leave the company, and this is so hard. This is so talk about that, but having this among a part of a plan, a bigger plan with many other actions, I think sounded to the people in the room like totally inhuman, robotic. Like you're just executing a plan, and we part of the we part of the plan. So yeah.
Okay. So I think also what you described in the in on the LinkedIn post is that you had a personal thing happening, your wife's birthday. So you did that on the Monday.
Yeah.
And then you had to leave to join your family. So you let your company digest that on the.
I had read that. Obviously, I took some time to read here or there that how people operate when they have to lay off people, and I knew it was important to be in the team, to be part of the team, to be physically present in the team. But where I was wrong is that I thought it was just a matter of one day. Like I will be on the Monday, I will be in the team, and the Tuesday I will be out of town because I had the birthday of my wife. And then back on the Wednesday. So I thought it was okay. I'm going to be here the Monday, and then the Wednesday and Tuesday, my co-founder will be here, and that's going to be okay. Obviously not. Obviously not. You have to be here, I would say, for the whole week or for the whole month, or as long as it takes for the team to understand and digest the news, and also organize how they're gonna leave the company, because in France you have many administrative tasks to realize after that. So yeah, that was wrong to leave the company for a whole day. And what was even more wrong, I would say, is that I communicated on we use Slack as an internal
chat,
and on Slack. So I announced the plan on the morning. Then I took 30 minutes with each person of the each person concerned by the plan during the afternoon. Plus the manager were in charge to take care of their team for the next day. So I left on the evening of this day, and I left and I left a message on Slack to the whole team, saying how proud I was on the way people took the news, and of this team, and how sad I was and proud at the same time. And I said, I'm sending this message from the train because I'm leaving for my birthday, my wife's birthday the next day. So for me, it sounded like being very authentic in this moment. But for the people, it was like, what the fuck? I mean, this guy is telling us that we're going to leave the company. He's literally leaving the town in train and explaining us about the birthday of his wife. Like this is so wrong. And so people told me that, but I didn't understand. Like I said, what's wrong? I mean, it's so that was one thing that was specifically wrong about this being away the next day, is that I I told the story to the team as if they were like friends or family, because I still thought it was all a family, where people were so stressed by thinking that they're gonna have no work for the next few months. They had to find another job, and so I mean, obviously, when I tell it, I'm thinking I was super dumb, but I did, and and it took me a while to realize it as well.
Yeah. So, do you still consider your employees as family now?
No, I'm. It's been a while that I've been quite specific about what's a family and what's an organization, what's a company, and I'm always telling people that it's very different.
Yeah.
And maybe we're going to talk about later about this book that I love from Patagonia's founder, Yvon Chouinard. And he mentioned that part as well, and say that Patagonia at some point, when they hit the first crisis, they were literally a family, because they were hiring like brothers and sisters, mother and son, and so people were like really family members in the team. So he was always saying this is family, and people would say, but when you lay off people feel so like the distrust is so strong that they feel betrayed. They say, okay, if I'm a family, don't fire me. Like, you wouldn't fire your brother, would you? So no, this is, I think this is very wrong to talk about being a family. We work together. We might love to work together. We might become friends on the way, and that's great. That's fine. But we're not family.
Yeah. Okay, so you had to go through this exercise, this painful exercise of letting people go and having mistakes on the way to communicate that. So how did you, from your post, I remember that it was not just an incident in time. It had there were some repercussions, there impacts on, for several months in the way the company operated. So can you tell more about that?
Well, obviously, when you lose trust very fast, and you gain trust very, very slowly. So at this time, I think the whole team lost trust in me. Like, basically, this is what I felt, and I still think that it's true. They thought I was a liar, that I was hiding stuff, and I took the decision all by myself, and they didn't really understand. Because the way I communicated was so wrong, that there was that created a spiral of mistrust in the company, and people spent the whole Tuesday where I was away to talk together about how betrayed they felt. So I lose trust, and when you lose trust, 7 people leave the company because you wanted to, but many other people leave the company because they think they don't work with you. They don't respect you as a leader anymore. So that happened a few weeks after. And I'm not saying the company has been dead after that, because fortunately some people still believed in me, and in the spirit of the team and the values. We had still great results in terms of growth. We're growing very well. Our customers were super happy. And some people, I would say the newly arrived people that were just arrived just before the plan or just after, and that still they were not part of the plan, so they remained after the plan. They had no specific emotions, so they didn't feel betrayed. They said, okay. They were like, some things happened, these things happened. So these people kept part of the team. But many other people left a few weeks and months after.
Okay. So in terms of percentage, can you, how many?
That's easily 50% of the company.
Wow. So
Yeah, yeah.
50% attrition after that layoff.
Well, in total, I would say a year after, the turnover was huge.
Wow.
Huge. Yeah.
Okay, so how did you change the the dynamics and
Yeah. That's very interesting. So, as I said, it took me a while to understand my mistakes, really understand them. And I
how
was a
long?
bit destroyed just after because I felt how people they distrusted me, and yeah, that was very hard for me. Very, very hard.
How long? How long did it
I
take
would
for
say
you?
that was that happened on the 12th of July, and I would say until end of August, I was still in this feeling of being a super bad person, super bad leader. I was like being imposter syndrome. Uh, but then arrived September. Um, I still had to face some departures, but I was feeling a bit better after some summer holidays also. And then had my coach help me, Guillaume. So it was just super frank. I said, okay, I'm very bad at communicating. This is what happened. And so I want to be a better leader and communicate better. So he said, okay, I'm going to help you. And we started our coaching like that. And the first thing we put in place is that I had a meeting every Monday morning just to reconnect with the team and explain what happened during the week, what are the news. So just talk, basically just talk.
So just to understand them, you did not have that before. You're discussing with your coach. That was one of the actions that you decided to put in
Yeah.
place a recurring weekly meeting on Mondays with the
Yes.
whole team. Okay.
Yes, exactly. The whole team together every Monday morning. And first I thought it was a way to communicate on the plan of restructuring the company, cutting costs, everything. But after maybe one or two Mondays, I understood it was much more about just sharing moments and communicating with the team. Because obviously, because it's a crisis, it's an economical crisis, you also need to do a lot of stuff. So it's not like I could do lunch with the team every day, or I was here and there, and I was working my ass to make the company profitable and reduce the burn. So, but I had this specific moment, 30 minutes to an hour, every Monday morning, and share the news, share the objectives, share what's been great, and try to be super positive. And that took a while, but that changed radically the spirit of the team. And now people they love this moment. This is the moment where, well, I think, but this is what I hear from the people. This is the moment where you start the week. You feel all together. You have good vibes. You share good news. And I think they also, everybody shares that I'm here. Like I animate this moment, this meeting, and they see how committed I am, and I try to be a good leader, like very authentic. Show off. I would say, like, not show off in a bad way, but like being here, like people
Yeah.
they see you, and
Walk the
it's
talk.
yes, and they know you're really committed. So that's about me, but it was very important for obviously for the company and for me also to regain my, I would say, my leader status. That was part of the plan, but it's also a moment where people they share, they ask questions, and it's we make our value live of free speech. Like they can share, they can debate together, um, uh, and they can share their concerns. And so it's a very specific, very important moment for our culture.
Okay. So so that's something you started. It took a while. So what are some other areas that your coach helped you on?
Well, written communication as well on Slack. So this. I mentioned this specific message I had on Slack on this famous Monday, the Black Monday, I would say. And we realized together that I had to grow. I'm not a 25 years guy, but I was still. I mean, that was junior communication, to be honest. So it's not that it's not okay to be authentic, but you have to have some formal communication when you write something to your team, and that's very true when you grow, when the company grows, because you don't know everybody very well. And the written communication has to be like ultra good, ultra strong, ultra, I would say, proper. Otherwise, you can, this is a way for me to make people respect you as a leader. So we worked on that as well. And now I'm much more, I'm reading twice what I write anywhere. Might it be on Slack to the team internally or on social networks, for example. Because as you mentioned, I'm writing posts on LinkedIn. I do that quite a lot, like once per week. I'm much more present on Twitter, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And same, I'm trying to be very consistent in what I write with my values, with the vision of the company, the mission of the company. So we worked on that with the coach.
Okay. Cool. Good. And what are your growth area
today?
Yeah.
Wow, man. I have to grow on every single aspect of being a leader. I mean, I mean, when I look back, I think I've grown a lot, but I have so much to. I mean, I have so much to do, and like better articulating the values, for example. You work at Amazon, and I'm very aware of the leadership principles of Amazon. This is a huge job. Like today we have 4 different values, and each value has a few sentences to explain it. And I would love to be able to better articulate, for example, what's the right way to be a leader, exactly what you do at Amazon, in my own words. So that's, for example, this is an area where I can grow. The way today I would say I've grown a lot on articulating the vision and the mission. Well, the mission first, the vision secondly. But I'm all the part about the objectives. We use the OKR method.
Mm-hmm. Objective key results.
Yes, it's still very new for us, and we have to iterate on that to make it much more clear for the new people that join the team. So a lot of to achieve on that part. Also,
have you? So sorry to interrupt. On that point, yeah, I need also to make to grow here. But what I found super useful is I found a diagram called the pyramid of clarity, where you have on top you have the mission, and then the vision, and then your objectives.
Yes.
And then under business objective or internal objectives or whatever you call them. I mean, you have different families of objectives, and then below you have some of the key results that are attached to those objectives. So OKR, objective key results, and then what I like about this pyramid is that it helps people to understand how their activities accrues to or participates, accrues to the objectives, and also it's good for alignment because perhaps they find that some activities are really important, but when you look at the pyramid, you say, I know I'm not contributing actually to those key objectives or to those key things. So it's I will send you the link to this. As I found that
I would love that.
a very good. I shared that in the description as well. A very good framework to make sure everyone is aligned and going in the same direction, which is not easy at all.
No.
Are you all in the same office, or have you got
Yes.
a distributed team? Okay. So.
Well, kind of, because we have some people like operating in the fleet in the parking slots.
Yeah, sure.
But they join the team of the office once a day per week.
Okay. Cool. All right. So yeah, I get that. How do you define clear goals? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you said where I can grow, because I have another idea where, like a year ago, I was publishing on I was expressing my voice once every quarter on the social networks or on podcasts like this one. And now I'm taking all the time it needs for that, because the more I speak as a leader outside of the company, the more I speak to the team. There is no frontier between both, and I know the team that they can listen to this kind of podcast. They can read what I write down on Twitter, on different social networks. They can even comment it, so there can be a debate on these social networks. And I've experienced that is quite important. I'm not mentioning about like making the brand having more awareness outside of the company. I'm more specifically speaking again about my leadership role with the team. It's very important the way you speak outside. So I want to speak more and more. And for example, we will start a new podcast as well.
Nice.
Next month with my dear Julian, who is our marketing director, about the mobility sector, and this is very new. So I will obviously be very bad when we start, because then when you start something new, by definition, you're not very good. But I want to grow there. I would like to be better.
Good. Exciting.
Yeah.
Cool. I wanted to ask you I think when we discussed earlier an area where you were coached on was on defining clear goals. Can you expand on that? I mean,
yes, I'm. Well, this is exactly what you shared with me, what you call the pyramid of clarity. I didn't know that, but it's very much about that. I think I'm pretty good at the big mission and vision, and not good enough on the objectives.
Yeah.
Not to say there are no objectives. There are objectives, and I communicate a lot about them, but I think I could be better. Could be much better.
Oh, yeah, same. Here it's a growth area for me as well. I think I didn't realize how much it is important to repeat and repeat and repeat all over the objectives, because we rely a lot of on Slack to communicate, and specifically because I have a distributed team, so people in different countries and geos. But I didn't realize that people are not necessarily getting the messages, or they don't have time to read, or they they scan through the messages, but they don't get necessarily the important one, or when we have calls, because we are remote. You may be distracted when something is we are discussing an important topic. So I found that, and I have a bias because I have a great memory. So when you tell me something, I think I get it, but that's a growth area for me, to be clear on the goals and repeat and say, okay, why are we doing things and why is that important for our customers and so on. So
Yeah, same
work
here.
in progress. I had, one of the episodes I really enjoyed when I recorded it, and that's the one I've listened the most, actually. Also, it's the one with Daryl. I keep talking about him because it was such impactful for me. I think it's episode 5 or 6. He told me that leaders are always in construction. We're all, people who are growing, and I like about the fact that quickly you were able to articulate your growth area, because having that self-awareness is key. It's not always easy. You need to have the courage to recognize those gaps and identify those, and being willing, being ready and willing to address those. So, congrats on that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. So we are approaching the end of the episode. So a key question I keep asking my people, and on the topic of growth, actually, how do you keep learning and growing as a leader? So you have a coach, but what are some of the other mechanism or habits you have to continuously grow?
Well, first, that coaching, I'm very disciplined. I think on this specific task or project. I don't know. Like I find a coach. I try to define where I want to grow very specifically. Then I find a coach that has the right experience for that. And obviously, you need to have the right feeling with the person, otherwise it won't work. But so then I find a coach, and when I find a coach, I said, "This is what I want to achieve." And so we define the right timing for that. And for me, I'm not a big fan of having a coach on the way, like on the long run. For me, you have to define where you want to grow, what you want to achieve, and then you do it. And when it's done, applaud, super happy, champagne,
Move on.
and move on. And you find either you stop with this coach or you find another one. This is the way I operate with coaching, and I'm pretty convinced this is the right way. Otherwise, you can lose yourself by just trying to having someone to speak with, and that's great. Which is not enough to grow as a leader, I would say. Now, so
but what's the difference? Sorry, so what would be the difference between a mentor and a coach then?
Well, this is exactly. Thanks for asking this question. A mentor is someone you can see frequently, talk about your problems, as an entrepreneur, and find some comfort and ideas and experience about that, to find solutions. So I would say your mentors, you can have them for years. So, and for me, it's exactly the difference with the coaching, where you, as I said, you need to better define a problematic and to solve it with the coach.
Okay, cool. So you talk about Let People Surfing by Yvon Chouinard, the founder of Patagonia. So that's the book you like to recommend?
Yes, when it comes to leadership, I'm really amazed by what's been achieved by Yvon Chouinard at Patagonia, obviously, by this brand, this company, obviously, like many persons. And I loved reading this book, which is not the best, the easiest book to read, to be honest, because there are many different things, and it's sometimes not so, I would say, so well organized, but we don't care because I think it represents the spirit of this amazing entrepreneur. And specifically, and the title expresses it very clearly, it explains why the culture is so important to make a real success. And so the culture, because this is, in this specific story, how you make amazing people work together and achieve amazing things, and achieve your success, because they define what's the success for them, for Patagonia, which is, I think, very different from many other companies, like reasonable growth, lot of payback, so the money goes for environmental causes. So it's very unusual as a business, I would say, and it's so inspiring for me. So inspiring. Not to say I want to build the same company, first because I'm probably not able to do so, but secondly because it's any story, any venture is different. But it's so inspiring of how effective they've been in achieving their mission.
Yeah, and inspiring. And obviously, the fact that he let go, he gave away his fortune last year was quite impressive. I mean,
but I mean, it's impressive, but that's very consistent.
Yeah,
it was the original idea. So,
and I mean, we talk about it earlier. How important it is to walk the talk. That's a great example.
Totally.
All right.
Yeah, so there's this story because there has been a massive layoff also in quite the early days at Patagonia, and right after he took the people offsite in Patagonia, so south of Argentina, and they went for a few days walk, I would say, trail, to redefine the culture and what they want to achieve. And so I think this is the right way to operate after big, hard news like that.
Good. Okay, last question before I let you go. What other leaders should I interview next? Who would you recommend?
Business-wise, or so you mean entrepreneurs?
A leader, someone that you find inspiring, that we could learn from a leadership perspective.
I have to mention a friend of mine who's a great entrepreneur here in Paris, operating in Europe and in the US. His company, he created a company called PlayPlay, and his company is great, and Thibaut is achieving something quite special, quite extraordinary. So, and I think he has also this special thing about the culture. So maybe Thibaut.
Okay, cool. So I count on you for the intros then.
Yeah, I will do that. With pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Vincent. And have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much. It was so great to have this special moment with you, Romain.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You stayed until the end. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Paid Forward Society. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and share it with at least 2 people who would benefit from this discussion. Your support helps me reach more people and make a greater impact. You can also help me get discovered by leaving a 5-star rating and a review on your favorite podcast platform. I appreciate your support and look forward to continuing this journey with you. Bye.